What's up, guys? Finn Firearms here, and I just want to start off by saying all the firearms that are on this table are all single stacks, and they've all been safety checked prior to the video. They've all been cleared. They're completely empty. And on top of that, I just want to say, you guys know me for my subcompacts mainly, my love for the Glock 26, also my love for Micro 9s like the Hellcat, the Shield Plus, the FN Reflex, the IWI Masada Slim, and so on. But if you're new to the channel, you might not know that I carry a lot of single stacks. I think they're great handguns. They're some of the most tested handguns in the world simply because they've been out longer than these Micro 9s. And on top of that, some of them are lighter, a little bit smaller, but the main thing I carry them for is their reliability. They've just been all great handguns, and right now you can afford them because they are so cheap. Even with inflation and the price of everything, because everyone hates on single stacks, the price of them has gone down. And you can get yourself amazing handguns that everyone calls obsolete nowadays for cheap. They weren't obsolete 5-6 years ago, but now because there's other stuff, they're now obsolete. You can't defend yourself with them. They're no longer good, which is all a load of crap, because these are all amazing handguns that I get a lot of use out of. So today we're going to be ranking them and going through them. But before we get started, hit the like button, drop a comment down below, subscribe. Also, tell me your favorite single stack. Also, tell me what your thoughts are on this video, and if you guys have any ideas that you want to see from this channel. But let's get into it. First off, I'm going to have to say is my FN 503. I carried this for about 3.5 years while doing new construction plumbing. Absolute beast of a Micro 9. It's got a 3-inch barrel. It's very short this way. 6+1 in this setup, 8+1 with the longer mag. But it's very, very thin and not the most comfortable. But when you throw a whole grip on it, man, does it feel good. It feels perfect in the hand. It comes with awesome 3-dot metal sights. But this thing has been through everything. This thing has been abused, dented. I fell off a ladder from 6 feet because a stud wasn't nailed in with this. I pocket carried it for probably 6,000 to 8,000 hours of working with it. And this finish looks like this. It looks really good. It's worn down, but all carry firearms get worn down eventually. Zero rust. And I've carried this in hot, humid summers in my pocket. I pull it out and the whole thing's soaking wet. And I always carry it in my Vetter pocket locker holster because that's the best holster for it. It's just a good small firearm with barely any recoil and a great trigger. An awesome metal trigger. So I absolutely love the FN 503. It's not my work carry right now. I actually retired it, but it'll always stay in my safe. Next up is going to be the Glock 43. You can't go wrong with any Glocks, let alone the Glock 43. It's just a nice, light carry option. This right here is a 7+1, so 8-round setup. Just a good option. It can go in your pocket still, but in my opinion, single stacks are... Let's talk about single stacks real quick. They are roughly between a 3-inch and a 3.4-inch barrel. I'm not talking pocket pistols. We're talking legit single stacks. And on top of that, they tend to have a shorter grip. Some don't, but some do. So we're going to go the Glock 43 as my second. Can't go wrong with it. Shout out to Daniel Hegg for this. I really appreciate it. That's a real supporter of the channel. Trust me, I can't even go into it. He's just a great guy. Next up is hard because I really want to say the Glock 43X, but in my opinion, I don't consider this an actual single stack because of the length of the grip. So we're going to go ahead and throw that down because it's the same exact length of a Glock 19 or a Glock 23. Also, actually, we can leave that on there and get into that. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and say my XDS in 45. Yes, it's only 6+1 in this setup, or a really small 5+1 in the flush mag, but this is one of the most accurate handguns that I own. And what I mean by that is literally anyone can pick this up and shoot it really well. And you're going to say, oh, a 45 out of a super small single stack? Yes, it handles recoil absolutely amazing. There's just a little bit more recoil than the 9mm version of the XDS. This is one of my favorite handguns because it has so much power in such a small setup and small footprint. And I'm accurate as can be with this thing. I mean, I am on point with it. That's why I love it. And for some people, they're going to say, oh, it's a single stack. But what I say is, I'm a beast with this firearm. And it's in 45. So if we're talking up close and personal self-defense within 20, 30 yards, I'm good with this thing. And so this is definitely one of those firearms that I love simply because of how great it is. Now, if they made a double stack version of this, I would carry it every single day as one of my main carries because I really, really love the XDS in 45. A great handgun. They call them optic ready. I mean, it's just an awesome package from Springfield. So you gotta love it. Next up is probably going to be my work carry. My work carry is the Smith & Wesson M&P 40 Shield, chamber in 357 SIG. a great handgun. I love shooting at the range. Yes, it's expensive to shoot 357 SIG, so I mainly just shoot hollow points out of it to test it. And when you pair this with Civil Liberty Defense rounds, it's like shooting a 380. I kid you not. The recoil is nothing, and those rounds absolutely fly. Now, as you can see, it is starting to wear here, 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 and here, but the wear is very minimal, and I've been pocket carrying this just like my FN503. Now, I could see it getting to the point where it looks like my FN503 over here, but the thing about the FN503, it always ran no matter what. Gunked up, covered in dirt, covered in rock, glue, primer, pipe shavings, anything, and this thing would run, even before I cleaned it. And it's the same thing with this. Absolutely great. And you can get the M&P 40 shield for about $300 right now, chambered in 40. And then $100 for the barrel, $400 for a micro 357 SIG. Throw in a Mag Guts kit, that's 7 plus 1, 8 rounds of 357 SIG. And I'm really good with this handgun. Also added some night sights to it. Just a great setup that's very light and easy to carry. And I even carry it outside of work. Next up, we're going to go probably the Walther PPS M2. And guys, this is a close race. All these are great handguns. I have nothing against any of them. It's just personal preference. They're all awesome handguns. I would tell you otherwise. But the PPS, I've pocket carried this at work actually. But this thing, the highlight of it is the ergonomics. It literally fits your hand like a glove, even with just the 2 fingers on there. And if you get Mag Guts, once again, 7 plus 1, 8 rounds. That's plenty for me. That's just fine. But it does wear a little bit, but no problem. I mean, I carry it, I clean it, I take care of it, and it never had a single malfunction, never a single issue. All the controls run flawlessly. It racks like butter. The PPS M2 is one of the most slept on handguns, and you can get like the LE package, which comes with 3 mags, a 7-rounder, a 6-rounder, and an 8-rounder for like $375 nowadays. A great slept on handgun. Absolutely love the Walther PPS M2. Next up, I'm going to have to go the CZ-P10M. This is probably the cheapest on the list. These go for like $225, $229 right now. Yes, it's not a CZ-P10 S trigger or the compact trigger. Oh my goodness, it's not as good as trigger. Whatever, guys. Just whatever. It's like a 7 or 8 pound trigger, but that's a safety. On top of that, you're going to say, oh, no slide stop. Yeah, there's no slide stop because it's internal. And so it still locks back on the last shot. And the way I chamber around, always, whenever my slides lock back, I just pull the slide back. I slingshot it. I never use a slide release because that tends to cause issues. That's why it's called a slide lock or a slide stop. That's its intended purpose in a lot of handguns. I know some handguns, they call it a slide release, but the main purpose of it is to release this or to lock the slide back, not release it. So I always slingshot it. This is one of the best handguns for the money, hands down. An amazing finish for pocket carry. Nothing you can snag it on. A light rail, a good trigger, and Vetter makes holsters for it. So what more can you ask for? I do shoot this thing a lot, and I really enjoy it. And for a $229 gun, and that it's a CZ for $229, you can literally throw this in a truck, a backpack, a tackle box, wherever. It can just be your beater carry option. And you're only spending $229, so it's not going to break the bank, and you don't have to worry about it getting all beat up and gunked up because it was only $229. So one of my favorite handguns out there. Plus, Hive just released the +2 extension that sits to about there. So it's going to be 9 plus 1, 10 total rounds, just a little bit extra length. So you're sitting at about, P365 capacity almost. So absolutely love this thing. And recoil-wise, all these shoot better than the P365. All of them have less recoil. All of them have less recoil than the Hellcat. All of them have less recoil than the Shield Plus. It just is what it is, except for the 40 and 357 SIG. But love this handgun. It handles recoil like an absolute champ. You just got to get used to that little bit heavier trigger. But honestly, the feel of the trigger with the shape is on point. So love the CZ-P10M. And not only for the money, it's a great handgun in general, because I bought mine when it was $300. So great handgun for the money. Next up, we got to go the Shield 40 Performance Center. This is the 1.0. So I didn't like the grip texture, so I added some grips to it, and this thing is on point. Absolutely love this thing. I bought it new for used for $300, but it looked like there was only about a box of ammo put through it. No scratches, no holster marks on it. I'm guessing someone shot it and said, "Oh, it's a 40. Way too snappy for me." That just comes with training. If you train more with that round, you'll be good with it. It may be shocking at first out of a super small handgun like this, but once again, Mag Guts, 7 plus 1 of 40. That's a beast of a setup. for how small it is. And man, do I love this thing. The sights are great on it. And what's nice about the ports is they come out at 45s. So your flame and your gases go boom, boom. So it leaves you, you know, like a 90-degree field of view still. You know what I mean? So you can still see your target while you're still getting a bunch of reduced recoil. And man, do those ports actually do a good job. I'd say they reduce the recoil about 30 to 40% when I shoot this with the 40 barrel in it. Obviously this has a conversion barrel, but when I shoot them back to back, you can tell and feel the difference. But man, does this thing shoot flames. Next up, I'm gonna have to go my Ruger LC9S/EC9S. I have both of them, but I only grabbed one to represent them. As you can see, this thing is really worn down. That's completely down to the bottom finish, stainless steel. So is the bottom part. So is the back. I mean, this thing's got some real wear. Look at that. All stainless, because I really carried this thing. When I first got into handguns, this was one of my first handguns that I owned. And I absolutely loved it because I paid like $250 for the EC9S and like $330 for like the LC9S. And what I loved about it is that I could carry it and it's not going to break the bank. I still had money for ammo. Back then I was barely making any money. This is all I had. This and a couple other handguns. So this was an awesome pocket carry for me, a light carry option. And I've gotten a lot of good use out of it. And it's been reliable. Honestly, everything on this table has been 100% reliable. So that's why I love single stacks. And EC9S/LC9S are great. I just want to say though, the EC9S did tend to rust a little bit while pocket carrying it. So you had to keep everything a little bit lubricated on your upper. But other than that, great handgun. I've gotten a lot of good use out of it. Absolutely love this thing. Now we're getting down to the bottom three, but they're all great handguns still in my opinion. The 380 Shield Easy. And what did I get this for? I got it because I had double wrist surgery from hockey and biking and stuff like that. It really messed up my wrists, so I had the surgery. And after that, I had a long recovery period. But on top of that, you still have, you know, time after your recovery period where your hands are still getting powerful again and you're still trying to get muscle back and get used to using your hands properly. And I was always nervous if I shot 9mm or 40 or 357 SIG or 45 or 10mm, I would ruin my hands. So I picked up this 380. It's large enough to get a full purchase on the handgun, and man, everything is easy. I was always nervous if I had to use it or while training that I would ruin my hands. So like I said, I went with this. This is a great choice if you have arthritis, problems with your hands, or you just want a handgun with zero recoil. This shoots like a 22 long rifle. So when you say 8 plus 1 of 380, yes, 380 is a little weaker, but if I can have 8 plus 1 rounds out in 2 seconds flat, the whole mag dumped, then that's great. So, and I can do that with this handgun. The trigger's great. Everything truly is easy. Racking the slide is the easiest thing in the world. The mag release is not 100% easy, but it's easier than most. But that could be a problem if you look at it a certain way. This grip safety, easy. Pushes in very easily. The trigger, very easy. Loading the mags, have these little pull down tabs on them, easy. So they did a great job on this handgun. It has its purpose. People will want no recoil, and on top of that, people who have hand problems and issues and pain, great gun to have. I have zero complaints with it. Next up, I'm going to go my own creation. You know what it is. Not really going to say it. You know why. But love this thing. It's just a simple Glock 43, basically. So this right here is going to be your 8+1 with the Barracuda tactical base plate. Got some stuff on here. Just a fun, you know, range toy, or, you know, like I said, backpack or tackle box or whatever you want to do with it. But runs 100% reliably. As long as you do a good job with it, it's going to run. So I absolutely love this thing. And then last but not least, we have a Bursa BP9cc. Now this is about the length of a Glock 43X, but why I kept on the table is it's so thin. It's about as thin as a 43, maybe a little bit thinner. 3.3 inch barrel, comes with a rail. I do not carry this, and I won't carry it because it has a 3-pound trigger with no trigger safety. That makes me nervous. But for some people that are trigger snobs, or not even trigger snobs, people who just want a good trigger, light trigger, this is your option right here. And I've used this a lot. I have a lot of fun with it. I use it mostly as a range toy, but it's been reliable. You can get these for like $280, $270. So I really enjoyed this handgun. I think it's got its purpose for sure. I just don't carry it that often. So let me know in the comments what you thought of this video, guys. Thanks for watching.